Hello and welcome to the Movie Podcast. My name is Anthony. I am one of your hosts. As always, I'm joined by my two co-hosts, Mr. Daniel and Shay. How are you guys doing today?
Doing well so far. I'm doing well so far. You know, it's nice to be talking to you guys after 3 weeks of not seeing or talking about anything else. No, it's great. Obviously, we've had lots of episodes in the last 3 weeks, so that's why we haven't had a main episode in a while. Just because we've been talking so much about everything else.
It's been a really long time since we've been able to do this type of thing. And in celebration of our 2-year COVID celebration, we are recording remotely.
Right. Yes, we're recording remotely in honor of celebrating the 2 years of COVID. Yeah, definitely. Definitely that's what we're doing.
How are you doing, Shay?
You know, I'm doing great. Full disclosure, this is my fault that we're recording remotely. I do not have COVID, but my little dog over here behind me, you can't see on the screen because you guys listen to an audio podcast.
Yeah.
But behind you is my dog. So stop your car and pull him out of the back seat. No, my dog's behind me right now, and he's we couldn't find a babysitter for him today, so I just wanted to, be here with him and guide him through his journey. Of life.
Shay didn't want to bring him over. We would have had a fourth mic. We would have set up
arguing with Anthony though. That's the problem.
Just yelling.
He would have been like, "Listen, I got a bone to pick with you, man."
Oh damn! It's funny though because I'm looking at our episode list because we have lots of amazing episodes on our feed, and I scrolled all the way back to March 23rd, 2020. That was the first episode we recorded remotely. And that was also our 50th episode.
Yes,
which is crazy to think.
We had a guest on that show, right?
We did. We had Tanner Z, Cineplex, former Cineplex pre-show host,
Cineplex legend.
Join us. Cineplex legend, time play legend.
So that was episode 50, and now we're on episode 135.
Yeah,
we're almost like triple that.
Just about. Like we're right around the corner.
Yeah. As always, you can catch a brand new episode of the Movie Podcast every single Monday, and watch out throughout the week for our review episodes on all the latest movies and series. Make sure to follow us at The Movie Podcast on Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, and Letterboxd. And don't forget to leave us a review on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and join our Discord and write into the show at TheMoviePodcast.ca. I feel like I've said The Movie Podcast so many times.
I know that's the challenge of the intro.
Yes, and we're also on YouTube.com/TheMoviePodcast, where you can listen to all our reviews and visually see posters, but listen to us. So I know a lot of people have been asking for it, so we are going to be on there. I don't know, should we post the shows too there? That's another option that we can.
Yeah, I mean, why not? I mean, we could post everything there, and then if you like just having a YouTube tab open and listening that way, if you subscribe to YouTube, is it YouTube Red? Is it YouTube?
No, I think is that a porn website?
It could be.
No, it is YouTube Red.
It's YouTube Red, right?
Perfect.
Yeah. Sure. If you want to listen to us that way, listen to us that way. We'll go wherever you want to go.
Any streaming service you want.
Yeah. Do you want us on Pornhub? We'll be there too.
I think that's our next step.
Sure.
Really break into a medium that way.
And you can
three dudes get effed by a mic.
Oh,
and you can follow our profiles, and we'll have special videos for you guys.
Interesting.
Make sure to tip us.
Yeah. You can find all of that information through our show notes for all those links and more. I'm going to kick it off to Daniel for announcements.
Yeah, so we have some great announcements this week. In the last, like I said, we've been off, and like Anthony said, we've been off the last 3 weeks or so. We've dropped a couple of reviews in there. Probably most notably is our review for The Batman, which is now our third most downloaded episode of the Movie Podcast ever. So thank you so much to everyone who has been listening to that, who's been sharing that, who's been supporting us. It's amazing to see. We've never had an episode get downloaded this fast before. So thank you so much for doing that. And it's sitting comfortably there in third place, which is awesome. We also have some other amazing reviews that you could listen to because so many amazing movies and shows have been coming out. Check out our review for The Adam Project. You could also check out our review for Turning Red. And I know you watch it this week on Disney Plus because you definitely should be watching on Disney Plus. We dropped our interviews with producer Lindsay Collins, director Domi Shi, and actress Maitri Ramakrishnan, who's on our show last week. So thank you to our friends at Disney Canada for making that happen. We are so lucky to be able to talk to these amazing humans who made this amazing movie. So awesome. And another interview I really want to plug, I really want to make sure everyone checks out our interview with Mike Marino, who is a prosthetic makeup designer. Anthony and I had the privilege of talking to him. Oh my gosh, almost feels like going back a month now. We spoke to him because it was right before the Batman. It's almost been a month. Yeah, like 3 weeks, 3.5 weeks. We had the privilege of talking to him about, being nominated for an Oscar this year for Coming to America, all the other amazing projects that he's worked on, and of course, transforming Colin Farrell into the Penguin in the Batman. So definitely check out that interview. It's a really fun one. Another thing I think we should address this week, if you are on social media and if you are kind of paying attention to the discourse that has been going around with Turning Red, and I'm assuming a lot of you are because you're listening to a show dedicated to movies, and that's a big part of our show. You may have seen a review floating around about, like just a really bad take on Turning Red. And the take came from Cinema Blend's Sean O'Connell. And if that name is familiar to you, it's because this is a person that we did have on our show last year because he wrote the Release the Snyder Cut book. And he dropped his tweet for Turning Red, which has since been deleted. And it said, "Some Pixar films are made for a universal audience. Turning Red is not. The target audience for this one feels very specific and very narrow. If you're in it, this might work for you. I am not in it. This was exhausting." And like, aside from this just being like such a shitty take, it's such a reductive way to look at a movie. Because when you're looking at movies, when you're looking at anything, I think we approach them from a place of empathy first, right? We discussed Turning Red in our review that, this is a story, but there's still so much you could relate to in it. And I think us as a show and a lot of reviewers, it's our job to watch a movie and be able to come from that place of empathy and come from that place of, yes, this specific situation may not be happening to me, but I can relate to this in other ways. This situation, what is this feeling this character is feeling? Oh, they're in this situation, they're feeling embarrassed. I felt embarrassed before. I can relate to this. Like, I've grown up before. Sean O'Connell has 2 boys. Maybe he doesn't feel this way. And I'm now looking at his review as a place of empathy and trying to figure out why he would say something like this. And the thing that bothers me most, and I promise I'm going to open this up to you guys to jump in here. The thing that bothers me most is that his take could be a shitty take, but the fact that he said this was exhausting, that's where the issue lies here, right? That's where those red flags go up, especially because you have a film that we celebrate here in Canada and in Toronto, and our show being a Canadian-based show, because one, we get to see that representation, which is amazing. It's also a story of talking about Asian heritage and things like that. And Sean O'Connell, who's a white guy, it's like this review comes off as like, because this isn't about a white dude, I can't relate to it and I don't like it. It's exhausting. And that's what I think is so problematic about it. Shay, I'll let you jump in here.
I rarely ever see myself in any of the movies that I get to watch. But I never worry about that. There's always, through lines of story. There's always characters, like you mentioned, empathy. There's so much about these films. May is a 14-year-old Chinese Toronto girl. Of course, I'm not that at all, but I can relate to her relationship with her mother. I can relate to her relationship with her family. There's so much that I can pull from these films that it doesn't have to be immediately what's in front of me. It doesn't have to be a mirror image. The storylines, I can't relate to Lord of the Rings. I'm not an elf. I don't go across the half the world and destroy a ring. But there's storylines there. It's about friendship. There's so much involved in these stories that you gotta pick from. And a good critic picks that. A bad critic just sees themselves in everything they watch.
Anthony, how about yourself? Anything to add to that?
Yeah, I think my review for Turning Red was kind of in the scope of what he was saying, but not in that term. But I was saying, this is designed for a different, a mother-daughter and a parent, parents as well. So yeah, I couldn't relate to it, but I saw the value of this movie being there for different types of people and different cultures. So
but even not relating to it, it's like I don't even think it's that you didn't like. I don't even think it's not relating to it. I think it's just the scenario in the movie. It's like it's like a mother-daughter relationship, but like you could still relate to it as like a mother-son relationship, or just, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
you weren't calling it like, and that's the thing. I just want to be mindful of like I get what you're saying in the sense of it being a specific, like he was saying, like this is like more of a specific movie, but it's also like he's saying like this is exhausting, like this is, it almost he comes from a place of like this shouldn't exist,
right?
You know what I mean?
And that's where his choice of words kind of differ from how you are critiquing this film. Like you're critiquing it like it's personally has to touch you or connect with you. But like I saw the value of this movie, not just for like when I heard your reviews, but for all the other people who are going to watch it and celebrate it. I think it's an important film to be out there and to just have in the Pixar library. I had friends connecting with me, asking me, is this appropriate? Is this a movie for, and I'm like, yeah, this is 100% a family friendly movie.
It's a Pixar movie.
But yeah, they kind of like, I don't want to say I understand what he's coming from, but I understood like part of that tweet was, yeah, it's not geared towards me 100%, but that doesn't mean that this movie's exhausting.
Yeah, and I think that's the thing. Sean O'Connell went on to tweet, "I'm genuinely sorry for my Turning Red review. Thank you to everyone who has reached out with criticism, no matter how harsh. It is clear that I didn't engage nearly enough with the movie, nor did I explain my point of view well at all. I appreciate your feedback." Cinema Blend, I'm going to pull up the tweet as well here too. Cinema Blends also tweeted out saying, "We failed to properly edit this review and it should have never gone up. We have unpublished it and assigned it to someone else. We have also added new levels of editorial oversight. Thank you to everyone who spoke up." And this is from Mac Rodden, the editor-in-chief. But what's interesting though, because Sean O'Connell is the managing director of Cinema Blend, so not too sure what kind of oversight you're going to be having on these type of reviews, which is kind of just an empty...
it's a very veiled promise, right?
You know, it's just like, okay, sure, you do what your thing. And again, this isn't us this isn't us saying, oh, cancel Sean O'Connell or anything like that. No. He published a stupid take. He published a very damaging take, and like, here's the thing: he has a big audience, and you need to be responsible for what you say, and you need to be held accountable for what you say. So when you have takes like this going out, I love that Domi Shi and all the people who have responded have been, calling it out and reacting to it and saying, well, I guess this guy had no issues growing up or anything like that. Like, so those are the responses that we need. And shout out to all the good journalism coming from this tweet, and hopefully he will learn more and not tweet something so dumb in the future.
Yeah, I think he learned his lesson, like based on how the reaction to his tweet and all.
I hope so. I hope so. But I mean, like, it's one of those things that it's you have to show it. That's just like, you just have to show it. It's not just something like saying, "Oh, I'm sorry. We'll see where it goes from here." Right? But he'll definitely, I think, moving forward, maybe think an extra second on whatever comes out of his mouth,
100%.
Yeah.
Cool. Thank you, Daniel, for all that.
No worries.
Let's get into the news.
I don't know. I think, Anthony, you were signaling the Titanic, I believe. You were like, iceberg, dead ahead. Dead ahead. Right, yeah.
Yeah, that was probably... Yeah, I don't think it's going to come out well.
Probably not. It's
power of editing, right, Daniel?
Yeah, the power of editing. I mean, but that's the thing. This is a COVID celebration episode, is it not? So we're gonna keep those imperfections in there.
We're gonna keep the awkwardness alive.
Yeah. No, 100%. Go ahead. No, you go ahead. You no. Nope. Okay. You go.
Yeah. First order of business. This is a big one. Warner Brothers release dates: The Flash and Aquaman moved to 2023. Wonka, Shazam sequel, and other films shift. And this is coming from Eric Pedersen and Anthony D'Alessandro of Deadline. Warner Brothers made a slew of release date moves for some high-profile movies this week. DC League of Super Pets moves from May 20th to July 29th. The Flash moves from November 4th to June 23, 2023. Aquaman moves from December 16th to March 17th, 2023. Wonka moves from March 17th, 2023 to December 15th, 2023. Shazam! Fury of the Gods moves up from June 2nd, 2023 to December 16th, 2022. Sorry, there's so many dates going through this article. Meg 2, which I didn't even know it was out or it's coming out. The Trench has been set for August 4th, 2023. Also on the move is this year's Dwayne Johnson-led Black Adam from July 29th to October 21st. We've heard that a number of these movies, which are VFX heavy, are being pushed due to logjam many post-production effects houses are facing as productions ramped up during COVID. The Flash alone has 2,500 VFX shots. And the article ends, we understand. So that is a lot of dates. This is all Warner Brothers content, Warner Brothers movies that are coming out throughout the coming months and next year. Biggest one being, I think, Flash going from, I believe, where is it here?
It was supposed to be November, right, of this year?
November of this year to June of 2023.
Yeah, so big delay, 8 months.
Big delay. Daniel, we'll start off with you. How do you feel about all these shifts?
I mean, it sucks. I mean, it's just so funny that this was supposed to be such a huge year for Warner Brothers, DC films, and now everything has gone kind of pushed. And it's interesting that they waited for the Batman to come out to make all of these moves, because obviously the Batman was supposed to come out last year, so that one has been probably ready to go, or it's been I guess higher up in the queue of things to work on. But I'm not surprised. there is a lot of big budget films coming out. We're getting more blockbuster films every year. It's almost like growing exponentially every year, right? Like every film has some type of effects in it, or is a huge event film. Where back in the day, we'd maybe get 2 big blockbuster movies a year that were really effects driven, or 2 or 3. And I'm thinking of the early 2000s, where it's here's a Harry Potter movie, here's a Lord of the Rings movie, and here is a Pirates of the Caribbean film, or a Spider-Man movie. Those movies were really spaced out, where now it's every month we're getting a giant effects driven film or show now. So a lot of these effects houses are just being overloaded. So I'm not surprised. Mm-hmm. We were talking in our chat where I'm something was moving, and I'm I forget what happened. I'm there's definitely going to be movies being pushed. And then literally 10 minutes later, we saw the Eric Davis tweet saying everything is being pushed. And I think Black Adam moving to October is an interesting move. Warner Brothers saw success with Dune in that slot last year. And I'm curious with Aquaman now in March, obviously they're seeing that Batman's doing well there too right now. So it sucks for us having to wait. But the nice thing is that we're going to have no shortage of movies in the meantime. And even though we were looking forward to these DC films, I think there was a lot of other bigger and films from other studios that we were also looking forward to. These films also always felt so far away, even from that teaser trailer that we got. We haven't gotten a proper look at these movies yet, right? Just glimpses or behind the scene things, but nothing like a full on trailer yet.
Yeah. What about you, Shay?
It's pretty interesting. Shazam! Fury of the Gods, for example, we always thought was so far away because they started filming that forever ago. We were seeing set footage come out a long time ago for that film, and then when we heard that it wrapped up, we're like, wow, man, the post production of this movie is gonna take forever. But seeing now that it's going up against Avatar 2, supposedly, is definitely going to be very interesting. We also had the World Needs Heroes promo that kept playing in front of the Batman, the little teaser for all the different films coming out this year for 2022. I remember the day this announcement dropped, I saw the Batman and they played that trailer in front of the film, and I was like, oh, that's kind of awkward. And the next day we all went to go watch the Batman and they didn't play it. I've been hearing that it's just gone now completely. Like they're not playing in front of the Batman anymore at all.
Well, and we've seen it since then. We haven't seen it, right?
We haven't seen it since then.
Yeah.
So obviously, because of this news, that trailer is kind of moot now, which sucks. I mean, I feel bad for people that put effort into making that trailer, and also that's a lot of people's lives and jobs, you know. But hey, whatever. Like at least the movie's coming out. At least we get a chance to get to see this film,
and at least they get a chance, hopefully, to work on it more and really bring it to a place that these movies need to be. Right? I mean, the DCEU is in a really interesting spot right now with all of these films, and the Flash was supposed to be that reinvention of the DCEU, that new kind of jumping off point for where these films are going to go from here. So I'm interested. Are we going to get news of Batgirl being pushed? Because Batgirl has Michael Keaton as the Batman. So is that going to be like a weird release where this is technically taking place after the Flash, and the Flash is coming out later, or are they going to push now Batgirl into next year?
Well, they're still filming Batgirl, and if it involves visual effects, which I believe it will, I think it'll be kind of in that realm of let's delay it, just because like the article says, a lot of these visual effects houses are backlogged, and we've seen it with other studios this year as well, like with Marvel. A lot of their films have been kind of like postponed a bit, not to the point of this or to the extent of this DC content, but yeah, I wouldn't be surprised that Batgirl is pushed back till April or June of 20, or when it would. Sorry,
Flash is June.
So probably like July.
Wow, which would be a big delay. So I mean, we'll see it, but I think it's a smaller scale film, obviously.
Right.
But who knows? I mean, who knows what their plans are going to be?
It is funny though that our first episode of like our anniversary episode here of COVID, we're recording remotely, and our first story is movies being delayed.
I mean, guys, everything is time's a flat circle.
Like I just we're really trying to emphasize this is a COVID anniversary episode.
Yeah, it's so funny because this week is supposed to be, or was it next week? Yes, next week. It's going to. We don't have to wear masks anymore. Already our vax passes don't exist. So it's like we're getting out of this world, but it's still making an impact on the world we love, which is is the irony.
Literally March 15th, 2 years ago to basically today, Fast and the Furious 9, A Quiet Place Part 2, Mulan, and more delayed due to the COVID pandemic. And here it's crazy. Oh, sorry, what else was delayed? Venom 2 was delayed as well too. So it's like, it's crazy to think that this is like, I don't think we realized back then that the ripples of all of this, what has done to the industry, it's going to take a good, I think, 5 years from when COVID started for things to go back to normal, to maybe the way sets are filmed, the way precautions are looked at, or even just for the release schedule, because like this really obviously hit a lot of industries, but we're seeing now with the film industry, all those ripple effects are really affecting it now.
Mm-hmm. I think we're waiting for Mission Impossible to come out. Once Mission Impossible 7 comes out, then the world can be restored.
Well, I'm wondering now that this is happening now. How long does it take for these production houses to like get out of this backlog? Because there'll always be a backlog now because there's all these movies coming out that have to come out. They weren't spread out. I think there'll be maybe a year in the coming years that won't have a lot of big budget films, just so it can like balance itself, or maybe not. I don't know. I think these production, you always hear about like these visual effects houses, they're working 40, 50 hour a weeks or more, 80 hours. And they're like stressed and depressed, and they're not getting mental health balance. And it's, I don't know. Is this a good thing because now more production houses can open up? Is this a bad thing because the people who are doing these visual effects are
Right. And that's the thing, right? Is this is a delayed, like, I mean, we look at the video game industry and it's like things can be delayed either to give them time so they don't crunch or so they could crunch even more, right? And I'm hoping that this is the former, not the latter, because this is not easy work. The visual effects world is such an undervalued thing that everyone takes for granted in the industry and audiences, and it's so easy to criticize bad visual effects in a film and not praise it when they look amazing, but also it's so easy to criticize them but not realize that no one who is a visual effects artist is lazy or doesn't care what they're doing. When we call out a movie for having bad visual effects, that's a reflection of either time or budget, right? That is not a reflection on the talents of the individuals making that content. That is a reflection of the time they were allotted to do it and the budget that they were allotted to do it, right? Has nothing to do with them and the work that they're able to do. So just wanted to also say that, which is hopefully a given, but just sometimes you needs to be reminded of that.
Cool. Thank you, Daniel.
You're welcome.
Let's move on to our second news story. Deadpool 3, Shawn Levy to direct Ryan Reynolds in Marvel movie. This is coming from Ryan Parker of THR. Shawn Levy has been tapped, or maybe it should be targeted, to direct Deadpool 3. The director is in negotiations to team up with star Ryan Reynolds for the Marvel property, after previously collaborating on 20th Century's pandemic-era hit Free Guy and the just-released sci-fi adventure movie The Addams Project on Netflix. The first record-breaking Deadpool, which came out in 2016, was directed by Tim Miller. The sequel was helmed by David Leitch. Frequent Reynolds collaborators Rhett Reese and Paul Wernick, who penned the scripts for the first two films, are now working on Deadpool 3. Wendy Molyneux and Lizzie Molyneux-Loughlin, known for the animated series Bob's Burgers, previously worked on the script for the third installment of the franchise. No release date as of yet. So this is exciting news because we've all been worried or wondering, is Disney going to make a Deadpool film? Will it be rated R? What will it look like? Will it ever come out? And now we know it is. So we'll start off with Shay. How do you feel about Deadpool coming to the Marvel Universe? And where do you think this story will go with him in this new world?
It's funny that Disney's first Deadpool film is being directed by a man known for making family-friendly films. So there was like this little bit of worry, even though I'm like, no. They've confirmed it's rated R. But Shawn Levy has done some of the best family films, Two by the Dozen, so on and so forth, Real Steel, Night at the Museum, that now we're going to get a Deadpool movie from him. I'm not worried. Ryan Reynolds, at the end of the day, it's always going to be a Ryan Reynolds film. He's going to be the one that's really making this a Deadpool movie. But now that they can kind of really acknowledge the MCU, I think they're going to dig in deep. I know Shawn Levy had come out and said that he's going to try his darnest to kind of get Hugh Jackman to show back up as Wolverine. And I think that'd be so sweet. I don't know how many Deadpool films we're going to be getting in our lifetime, but for a third one, I think that's a great place to kind of go. They've already made great, I guess, nods to the Fox X-Men world before in Deadpool 2. So excited to see where they kind of go with this one. I think now that they have the doors and the checkbook for Disney, I think they should be fine.
Cool. I think with this multiverse that's happening right now in the Marvel universe, this is probably the best time to fit him into this world. And we know Professor Xavier is heard in Doctor Strange, so there's going to be a connection, and eventually there will be X-Men. But I think Deadpool as a character, he shoots out, or he comes out of nowhere, and he can pop up into any type of world. I think he would be great with Guardians of the Galaxy, just based on the humor. Rocket Raccoon and him would probably be a great team up. But Daniel, what do you think?
This is great news. Honestly, Shawn Levy's a great director, and like Shay said, he's directed some of the best, family adventure films in the last 20 years. I mean, I think Shane and I, we quote Big Fat Liar to each other all the time. But when you look at now the museum, and obviously with Free Guy last year, which is such a big success, and the Adam Project, which was, which we really like too. This is a great pairing, and it's two Canadians getting to work on a Canadian character, which I think is pretty fun. So you already know they're going to have a lot of fun with that. And yeah, like you said, Anthony, the way the MCU is right now with the multiversal stuff, this is a perfect time to introduce Deadpool. Who knows if we'll see him show up in anything else before his own movie? And Disney knows that they have a huge box office ability with Deadpool, so they're not going to squander it by not making it R-rated, because he's an R-rated character and his first two films were. Do I think all films that want to be gritty need to be R-rated? No, because look at the Batman. That's a very dark and gritty film, but it's not rated R. But a character like Deadpool, who relies a lot on swearing, yes, you're gonna have to go into the R rating for that, and they'll find a way of doing it, and it'll be fine. Honestly, this is gonna be a great film whenever this comes out. I don't think we'll see a Deadpool sequel though until 2024. At this point, I don't think this is coming out next year. I don't think they're going to start. I think they'll start shooting it next year and then come out for 2024. But I don't think it's coming out anytime sooner than that.
What do you think about the the pushback, with parents and just people in general talking about Disney and how they're going different routes. They have different content on their streaming platform. It's not all family friendly content, and a lot of parents are worried. And we heard about the LGBTQ issues that they've been having at Disney Studios, with Chapek not acknowledging certain political. He was donating to, I guess, the governors in Florida who were supporting the "Don't Say Gay" bill and all that. Which, luckily, now I think because of all the heat that Disney's been getting and the shit that's been rightly thrown at them, now they've said we're not going to be doing this. Right? I mean, I'm not surprised Disney was supporting a governor in Florida, because that's where they make a shit ton of their money with Disney World. Right? It's not right. I'm not saying that's right. I'm just saying that is the reason why they were supporting that governor, most likely. And it's really shitty and it's terrible. It's deplorable that bill is even a real thing that was there. Yeah. But I'm just glad that Disney at least came to their senses and was like, yeah, we're not supporting this. And I hope moving forward, Disney's only supportive of their creators, of their people who are working for them, who are not evil and pieces of shit. Support the vision of your creators and let people make the things that they want to make. If that's a movie like Turning Red, or if that is a character like Deadpool just throwing out obscenities, support that, because you have audiences of all ages. And if you want to have a platform like Disney Plus that's going to survive, you need to have content that is from people who are 0 to 100. You got to have that available. And there's been, like you mentioned, Anthony, there's been people this week who've been upset that Daredevil and Luke Cage and Jessica Jones and Iron Fist are coming to Disney Plus, because that's going to affect the family-friendly image of the platform. Where it's like us in Canada and other countries around the world, it's no, we've had these shows on, we've had R-rated content on our platform for a long time. We've had these parental guidelines and parental controls on the system, because that's what they're there for. If you don't want your kid watching something, then put parental controls on it. And that's the thing that, again, this is a whole other discussion. Sorry to go on this tangent. It's one of those things that always bothers me, where it's the first place where you teach is at home. You know what I mean? Don't expect Disney or any other company to have the morals or the brains to not show your kids things, because that is out there in the world. That's your job as a parent, to know what your kids are watching, and not just sit them in front of Netflix or sit them in front of YouTube and have that babysit for you, because you never know what you're going to get on that. So that's why parental controls are there, because they work.
Just talk to your kids. Just talk to your kids.
We haven't died here in any other country outside of the States while having R-rated content on the platform. Pam and Tommy's on there. We're fine. But you have to take that initiative.
I think if your brand is to promote diversity and promote different cultures, I think this is so important to have all different types of films on your platform, especially because Disney owns so much. They've put themselves in such a position where they can't just be family friendly anymore. You have to like branch out, and it's also good to branch out because you have the ability to connect with a different audience. But yeah, that bill and everything that's been happening with Chapek around has been a little uneasy, and I think a lot of the people who work under Disney are realizing that, and I know the letter or a memo went out saying, we don't agree with what's happening, and there was a lot of pressure throughout that community. And Chapek came back and he apologized and he said, I stand with my team and the LGBTQ community. But I don't know if that's just him saying it because he was pressured into saying it.
I mean, he was definitely pressured into saying it, but luckily the result is the right result. You know what I mean? So, and again, it's that same thing that we said earlier in the show. It's now going to be, what do you show from this point forward? Right? Like, are you going to back out of this and then do something else behind the curtain? No, like your actions are now going to speak even louder. So people are watching.
Moving on to some more Marvel news, composer Michael Giacchino, to direct Marvel's Halloween special. And this is coming from Boris Kitt of the THR. Michael Giacchino, the Oscar-winning composer behind The Batman, Up, and Lost, is going where few toonsmiths have gone before, directing. Giacchino has been tapped to direct Marvel's Untitled Halloween special, which will be gearing up later this month in Atlanta. Little is known about the project, which is sometimes referred to as Werewolf by Night, although sources say that won't be the title by the time the special airs on Disney Plus later this year. Gal Garcia Bernal and Laura Donnelly, sorry, I thought it was another Spanish
Laura, I'm like, geez, man.
Starring in are starring in the 1 hour story, with sources believing that Bernal is playing a werewolf. Werewolf by Night was a comic published by Marvel in the 1970s and centered on a man named Jack Russell, the titular werewolf. The comic may be best known for introducing cult hero Moon Knight in issue number 32. Daniel, you're a huge fan of Giacchino. We love his score and all his scores that he's done, but specifically recently The Batman. How do you feel about him directing a Marvel movie or a Marvel special?
Yeah, it's crazy to see this, and like we've been hearing rumors of this for a little while, and I think it's really cool that he's going into this world of directing a film. And it's not, I don't think it's as strange as people think it is, because obviously we've seen directors compose scores for their own movie, like John Carpenter, and and there's a bunch of other composers. Then Robert Rodriguez as well too, I believe, does it. So I mean, this is great news, and if there's anybody who understands every aspect of how a film is made from the beginning to the end, it's a composer. They are all about feeling. They are all about creating something that will want you to feel a certain way. And I think Michael Giacchino, obviously, who's worked with some of the greatest directors of all time, he just came off 2 back-to-back amazing scores with Spider-Man and The Batman. I think, will do a great job. And I love that it's like for a special, so like he could kind of get his feeling for it and then maybe go on to maybe do other projects if he wants to, right? But this is really cool, and I dig this, and especially after listening to the Dolby Lab discussion that he did this week with Glenn Kisser. He really understands what it means to make a movie, obviously. And it's funny, he was talking with like Matt Reeves about, my first notes to you were just about the script. Wasn't even about the music or anything that I was feeling. So it's cool that he's going into this world, and I'm excited to see what he does with this.
What about you, Shay?
Yeah, same as Daniel here. I mean, like, Giacchino is phenomenal, and if his music is already so good, curious to see how his directing is gonna be. I mean, we've been again hearing the rumors for a while now, like, oh, how long are we gonna, when is this gonna happen? So to finally kind of get some confirmation on this is pretty awesome. I think it's gonna be funny because Giacchino's got a great sense of humor as well. He loves to insert wicked titles for all the scores that he does. So I'm I can only imagine that there's going to be that level of comedy involved in this too.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely.
I think after watching him, and I think that was probably my first, like, I know of Giacchino, but I never really learned his insights on how to make his music and his score. Watching him in that Adobe podcast, it was really enlightening because his work ethic and how he approaches music, I think, will be a phenomenal, like, how he's going to approach this TV series or this special. Is going to be very uniformly from how he does his scores to directing, and it seems like he is a director. His presence felt very directorish, but
directorish.
But yeah, I'm super stoked to see him do this. I think this is probably a passion that we just didn't know about that he wanted to pursue.
Yeah, definitely.
Let's move into quick updates. We got a couple of quick updates. Florence Pugh and Austin Butler to join Dune 2. Right now, they're still in the talks. We don't know yet, but it seems like, I saw Denny being interviewed yesterday, and he's like, I don't know those people. but he was smirking at the same time.
I don't know what that is. I don't know what you're saying.
What about these two actress and actors being part of the movie? He's like, yeah, I don't know them, and he's smirking at the same time. So I'm pretty sure they're going to be signed up.
That's just his French Canadian smirk.
I don't know what Tony Harding.
Je ne sais pas.
I Am Legend next chapter. Will Smith and Michael B. Jordan to star and produce together for the first time. Michael B. Jordan on a rampage of producing movies and directing movies.
And directing, yeah.
This is out of the blue because I didn't expect to see another I Am Legend film in the works. I thought it was like a one and done film.
Yeah, did we need one?
I don't know. I liked I Am Legend. I just think there should have been a little bit more people around, except just him. But yeah, we'll see.
But Will Smith won't be in it because the original ending, he dies. Spoiler for anyone who hasn't seen it.
Does he?
But in the alternate cut, he lives and goes to like that town with that lady.
Yeah.
So sure, yeah.
He's alive. He's 100% alive.
But
they're bringing
blew
him back.
himself up.
No, man. He
has a bomb.
Did you see him blow up though?
No.
Yes.
You saw his appendages flying?
You literally see like the horrible CG monsters and them just collide and then it goes.
No, man. He escaped. They're definitely going to go back to that moment. De-age Will Smith. I'm telling you right now.
Technology from
Fast and the Furious with Han jumping out of the car.
What was the movie that he did? Gemini Man.
Gemini Man, yeah. They have that CG model like kicking around.
Oh, good God.
Listen, if we saw Han die 3 times in Fast and the Furious,
but they can still bring
and that
back.
Dude is still alive. He's alive.
It was magic.
He's alive. 100%.
I think a lot of people even forgot how that movie ended. So if they make it again, it's going to be like the alternate ending is the real ending.
They're just going to base it on people's forgetting. Hey, you forgot. So you know what? We're not gonna actually really focus on it.
We have a new Alien movie in the works with Don't Breathe director Fede Alvarez. I
thought you were going to say Fetty Wap. I'm like, Fetty Wap.
That's an interesting director because he was known for the Evil Dead remake, which was pretty brutal to watch. And then we have Don't Breathe, which is also brutal to watch. I think this Alien is probably going to be the most gruesome gruesome looking film as a whole in terms of like aliens just demolishing people, which they usually do.
Do we see this coming out though? Because remember when Neil Blomkamp was trying to do one, and then Ridley Scott was like, "Fuck no."
I think Ridley Scott is like on board with Fetty. From what I've read in the articles, they are going to make this movie. Then again, you never know. And the Penguino, or the Penguin, gets series ordered at HBO Max. So Colin Farrell, he will be reprising his role as the Penguin for an HBO Max series in which we will see his character and all the come-ons and take it easy and slow down, buddy.
This is the worst. This is the worst
Dude,
Spanish ever.
What were you quoting the Penguin?
Yeah, it's like take
You were
it
doing so like, no, take it easy.
Yeah, I was
Are these
confused too.
lines from the movie?
Are these lines from the movie? I was waiting for it to be
'cause-
like,
Give us some
world's
Penguin,
greatest
though.
I can't do
detectives.
There,
Like,
there
Give
it
us
is.
some Penguin, you know?
Daniel, do the Penguin.
look at you two, world's greatest detectives. You know, like
Is that what he says?
Yeah, man, that's great because we want to see more Penguin, and it'll be on HBO Max, and it's going to be produced by
Matt Reeves?
Matt Reeves, and we also have the Gotham PD show,
which is now an Arkham
Now an
show.
Arkham show, yeah.
which is now an Arkham show. We want
Awesome.
more of this universe, and it's happening. So, thank God.
Thank God.
Box office. I'm going to kick it to Shay for some cha-ching news.
Cha-ching! Robert Pattinson's moody superhero adventure, The Batman, has prevailed at the box office again. The film earned about $66 million in its second weekend of release, propelling its domestic tally to a robust $238.5 million. This is only after only 10 days on the big screen. The Batman has now ranked as the highest grossing movie of 2022, as well as the second highest grossing movie since the onset of COVID-19. Only Spider-Man No Way Home, which has generated a stellar $792 million in North America, has earned more money at the box office in the past 2 years, and the Batman is right now nearing $470 million worldwide. So it's not slowing down, which is nice. You know, it hasn't had a huge drop either. I do wonder its legs going forward. Again, March is a pretty clear month for this movie, so the Batman looks like it can glide for a little bit longer. But curious to see how people keep receiving the film, because I've talked to a lot of people that I've watched the Batman now, and a lot of people are like, yeah, it was fantastic, just like us. And a lot of people are like, yeah, it's a little slow, it's a little long, and I understand that criticism as well. So curious to see how people enjoy it in theaters. Again, it will be available on HBO Max within 45 days from the day it came out in theaters. So will the legs be strong, or will they need to be worked on?
With the thing too with Batman is that it's a longer movie. Spider-Man is also a longer movie, but I think Spider-Man had that the general audience, I guess, interests a little bit more, because we had this anticipation where this is not just the third entry in the Spider-Man highly successful trilogy for Marvel Studios. This is also coming off of the heels of Endgame and everything like that, and we're also bringing back. There was the hype of bringing back legacy characters like Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire, right? So Spider-Man had that event to it. Yes, it's Batman. People love Batman, and people are clearly showing up for him. But this is this is the different side of the coin of what Spider-Man was, right? So the Batman is a lot more of skews like an older crowd. It's a longer film. It's a darker film. Two sides of the same coin, but it's a very different. Very different movies.
So
the nice thing is, though,
pun?
yeah, it is a Harvey Dent pun. The nice thing, though, is that they're both killing it, and it's nice to see that Spider-Man got moved up as well too. So if you're looking to buy Spider-Man on digital this week, you don't have to wait till the 22nd of March. It's going to be coming out the 15th of March, and that's because of the leaks that were happening. This film, right to the very end, just spoiler central with this film.
It's consistent, right? It's consistent.
Yeah, it's nothing but consistent. So,
But it's good
nice
to
see.
it's good to see that it's going to come out, and that people who want to watch it at home can. And this also gives the Batman more flexibility, because we were worried that it's going to be re-released again, and then it's going to take a lot of the money away from the Batman. And yeah, the Batman is such an interesting film because it is the first one. But even Batman as a character doesn't. I've never seen him make a lot of money other than The Dark Knight. In the span of like so many weeks and months, it usually falls down a percentage or two, and then especially with like the Snyder films, right? We saw that what Batman vs Superman had a really huge drop its second week. Justice League was, but people want to pin it against or face it off against Spider-Man in terms of how much money it makes. Like that's how you gauge a movie and how good it is. is how much money it makes. And I don't think that's like Spider-Man had a lot of things happening with it. It's part of the MCU, so a lot of people go watch Spider-Man because they want to know who's going to show up. They have 3 Spider-Men, which we all knew and the world knew, and it was the worst kept secret. I know we were talking about like, what if they didn't show up? I don't know if it would have been as big as the other 2 Spider-Man didn't show up.
I mean,
I just don't think it would make that money.
I don't know what this movie, like, I'm really curious though, like, what would Spider-Man 3 be if they weren't able to get Tobey and Andrew Garfield's? Like, would they have just had their villains, but not have them the heroes? Like, that would have been, you know what I mean? Like I'm just really curious to see, what that movie would have been. Yeah. I have no idea.
But yeah, that is the box office. We're going to move on to trailers. We had a lot of trailers this week. I'm going to go through the list, and then we're going to talk about the ones that really stood out to us. Obi-Wan Kenobi, The Boys, Moon Knight, Super Pets, Deep Water, Bullet Train, The Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent, They Call Me Magic. We're going to start off with the big one, and the one that we've been waiting for so long, and it just came out of the blue.
They Call Me Magic.
Obi-Wan fucking Kenobi.
That's the parental control restricted non-version of that movie.
Yeah.
But
let me just say, this trailer starts off like, oh wow, like, okay, this is Obi-Wan Kenobi, this is cool. And then this trailer goes, yeah, fuck you, Duel of the Fates. And then I literally froze in my seat. Like, I was watching it, but I wasn't like in it yet. And then, but as soon as you hear like the operatic score start, and then the Duel of the Fates kicks in, and you're just like, holy shit, they're taking this back to the prequel world, and we're getting like
the Phantom Menace.
You know, we're going back, and we're doing some shit. This looks awesome. This looks really, really cool.
Yeah, that score that pops up right in the beginning, it's just like, I get up and I'm like wielding a fake lightsaber in my hand, like, let's go. Because you know that this version of Star Wars are going to have some really good lightsaber battles, like lightsaber fight sequences, choreographed. I'm hoping that's what they do. They don't go with the bashing of lightsabers. Very dance ballet style fight sequences, which I think it makes sense for a Jedi, because they're eloquent in that sense. Now we know Darth Vader is in this. We don't see him, but there was the marketing went out for this on, what was it, Wednesday? It came out.
Yeah, there was I think it was Entertainment Weekly.
There's a cover for the Entertainment Weekly, and it said right on the cover, rematch, and we're going to see Darth Vader and Obi-Wan fight each other again. And I know they have Hayden Christensen. He's back as Darth Vader. He was used in different ways. There's a lot of flash forward, sort of flashback sequences in which they go back to the Clone Wars, and I'm super curious to see what they do there. But what do you guys think of Obi-Wan and Darth Vader fighting again?
I'm here for it. I mean, this is going to be so cool. I'm curious, like, bringing back Hayden Christensen, does that mean we're going to see him outside of the helmet a lot? Because we've seen Darth Vader come back in Rogue One, and this trailer really reminded me of Rogue One too. A lot of that similar aesthetic, especially how the trailer ends with Darth Vader's breathing, and the Rogue One trailer ended the exact same way with that little just at the very end of it. Mm-hmm. So. Right now, for me, the top Darth Vader moment of all time is still in Rogue One as well. The hallway battle sequence is untouched. So I have faith in Deborah Chow. I think she's phenomenal, and she's going to do an amazing job bringing Darth Vader or Hayden Christensen really into this world. And I think we're going to see some really cool fight scenes.
100%.
I just think, I think if anything is to be said about this episode of the Movie Podcast, is just give Canadians more creative control when it comes to making cool shit. We had Domichi give us a kick-ass, one of Pixar's best films, and now we have Deborah Chow coming out here and just fucking us all up with that new trailer for Obi-Wan. Because
Shawn Levy in Deadpool 3.
Exactly. You know what I mean? Like we're just getting some incredible talents coming out of Canada and giving us some really amazing movies and shows. So yeah, let's do more of that. I mean, this trailer was amazing, really cool. The Inquisitors were getting some heat online because, oh, look how round their heads are. They're not like stretched out cone heads. I'm like, shut up. Like, wait till the show comes out. Watch the show. Like, we have to stop being so quick to criticize something. Wait for it to come out and then form an opinion on it after you watch it. Stop with the flaming of the bullshit online. It's stupid.
What other trailers stood out to you guys this week?
We got The Boys trailer that dropped this week too, which I'm really excited for. The Boys. We love The Boys on the Movie Podcasts. But I'll be honest, I wasn't too big of a fan of this trailer. I don't know if it was the song they used. I don't know if it just felt like more boys, which is great, but there wasn't anything in this trailer that got me like more excited than I was before. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. No, I get that. I totally understand that.
I forgot that Butcher has superpowers, so that like going back to, and I'm going to rewatch the second season, seeing that trailer, I'm like, man, when did he get superpowers? And it just puts this character in a different realm, and now that he has these powers, what does he do with them? But yeah, it did feel like a lot of boys, a lot of violence, heads exploding, sex, fishes.
Yeah, it just kind of feels like it's retreading the same ground. Again, I'm not a huge fan of trailers for TV shows because I feel like they can never capture what the show really is about. So I hope that they just made this trailer to show all the boy-isms, but then they kind of, surprise us with the actual season. I did want to talk about Bullet Train. I mean, this is directed by David Leitch, off of Deadpool 2. And this was a very, and I also starred, I think, Karen Fukuhara from The Boys as well. But man, this was an interesting trailer. I wanted to get your guys' thoughts on this trailer because it was very stylistic.
Yeah, and it's directed by David Leitch, who we were just talking about, who directed Deadpool 2, and he was an uncredited director on John Wick.
Yeah,
and he did Atomic Blonde. It looks very stylistic. It looks fun, but I'm curious if it's going to be like style over substance.
Mm-hmm. Michael Shannon's in this film, and he plays this character that looks like a Japanese samurai, cool Japanese samurai dude. But I don't think he's Japanese. I think he's just cultural appropriating himself with this Japanese.
He's like every white dude that goes to Japan.
Yeah.
I'm going to be a samurai. But it's just funny that Brad Pitt's in it. It feels like what was the movie that came out in the 2000s with Ryan Reynolds and I gotta find it.
Shooting Aces?
Smoking Aces?
Smoking Aces.
That's what it reminds
me of. It's shooting or smoking something.
It's like all these...
There's also Shoot 'Em Up that came out at the same time as well.
That's the one I was confusing, yeah.
It's very stylistic in that. I don't know if you guys remember Smoking Aces. It's just bang, bang, edit, action. All these different characters with these different personalities that are trying to get to one object. It just reminded me of that. And I don't know if that's going to work well, but who knows? We'll see what happens. I love Brad Pitt, and he looks pretty fast for a dude that's in his 50s. So,
hey man, you'll be that fast when you're 50.
But you know what I'm saying? Like usually when you get to a certain age, you just don't want to do.
You just stop moving. Yes.
And you don't see Brad Pitt as an action hero.
You don't?
Do you? No, I don't.
Yeah, I totally see him as an action hero.
Do you?
Dude, he's been in so many big action films though, too.
I know, but really in the past 10 years.
I mean, I still see it.
Yeah.
Because you look at Troy, and then you look at I don't consider Seven an action film. No, sorry, not Seven.
No one does.
I guess like Once Upon a Time.
I don't consider Meet Joe Black as an action film.
No, definitely not.
That's it. It's only Troy. What other movies? Troy and
It's
now you think he's an action hero. Get out.
Dude, he's an action dude. He was in Deadpool too.
Yeah,
You know?
World War Z.
Fury.
World War Z.
Yeah, he was in 12 Years a Slave. That's not an action film.
That's not an action film. Nope. He's in Moneyball. A lot of action in that one. He plays baseball in that one, right?
Killing them softly.
That's not an action film. That's
Happy
really
Feet
No.
2.
He's definitely done a lot more dramas in the
Mr.
last
and
10
Mrs.
years.
Smith. Come on. That's an action film.
true. Mr. and Miss.
Yeah, there you go.
That
Ocean's
was how
12.
many years ago?
That was in 2005.
Dude, he was in Sinbad, Legend of the Seven Seas.
Yeah, he was in Megamind.
He was an action hero, and that is his voice, but it was an action hero.
I'm
He
saying
was
like
in-
he's not like
Allied. He was an action star.
what?
Allied, yeah.
Doesn't he fight in planes? He's a fighter pilot.
He
no?
runs in that movie, yeah.
No, but he's like a spy. Like he like shoots out Nazis and
it's-
stuff.
So are we looking at it like? So okay, if we're looking at action star, are you thinking of like Tom Cruise action star?
Like there's Tom
or are
Cruise.
you thinking
there's
of
Keanu Reeves.
Sylvester Stallone action star?
No, I'm talking about like Tom Cruise. You could put Stallone there. He does mostly action movies. You got Keanu Reeves. He does action films. But like Brad Pitt hasn't really. He's kind of geared his career towards the dramatic side and really trying to get that Academy Award. I know him. Like that guy wanted that Academy Award. He got it. But now it's like just seeing him in this role is so different. It's not typical Brad Pitt. And we also are going to see him in The Lost City, which is an action role. And there he is with this blonde, long hair, and he's flowing through the wind. It's so funny. It's like, I don't expect him to be that character. There's a nice pause, but
I was wondering what you were going to say after. I think he's
We're
an
like,
action
yeah,
hero. I think
yeah.
he's an action hero.
Let Anthony keep talking. Let Anthony.
I just like, I will not die and rest on this day until you guys admit that he is not an action star.
Oh
I'm not
God!
saying
If
he's
you
not.
listen
It's just-
to
I said
our,
it was different to see.
if you listen to our Turning Red interview with Domishi, Shay does that voice as well too. I think Shay thinks that's like a Mississauga accent. You know,
That's my Woodbridge accent.
oh, that's your Woodbridge accent. Oh God,
Yeah.
look at you two.
We went to Woodbridge with Anthony the other day to feast in his hometown, and he welcomed us graciously while we were there. So I wanted to again thank you, Anthony, again for allowing us to bask in your town. And I didn't know that you were the mayor, first of all, so that's really huge. That made me feel
Yes.
great.
I am the mayor of Woodbridge. I'm glad you guys came down. I hope for you to come down more often and have some food with me.
Yeah, definitely. That was a lot of fun. That was a lot of fun.
It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, no, Anthony, you're totally right though. Yeah, the last 10 years, here's the thing, Brad Pitt can do action movies. I think he's just a lot more selective of what he does. So he's not, I guess, because it would have been really easy for him to be kind of typecast in that. The other trailer this week that we got another glimpse at Moon Knight, which looks so fun. And they were describing it as like a mix of like Fight Club and Indiana Jones, which is like, I'm like, that's a really cool spin. But I actually really liked the Super Pets kind of clip that we got, or mini teaser, which was very Batman centric. And hearing Keanu do Batman, I think is it's what I didn't know I needed that, but I did, and I liked it.
I forgot Keanu's playing Batman, which is amazing because now that's like when you play Batman,
That's canon.
it's canon. Like anyone who's played Batman is considered a Batman.
He's going to show up in The Flash, I heard.
Animated?
Yeah, the animated Batman of Keanu is going to show up in The Flash. That's why they delayed the movie.
Yeah.
You heard it here first.
We're going to move on to out this week. We have X, Uma, The Outfit, Cheaper by the Dozen, Deepwater, We Crashed, and Alice. And you, our audience, can look forward to some of these reviews. We're going to be reviewing these movies in the coming week. So look forward to some reviews for those.
One of them will be reviewing in like 4 minutes.
That is true. That is true. The Outfit we will be reviewing in 4 minutes. What are we watching? We'll start off with Daniel because
I guess let's just start off with the outfit.
Oh yeah,
we'll skip ahead 4 minutes.
So everyone just let's take a 3-minute break here.
Yeah, we'll
reconvene.
We'll run the clock, so you just skip ahead 3 minutes, or you can skip ahead 3 minutes if you don't want to hear us talk about the outfit. It's up to you. Yeah. It's totally up to you. Thank you to our friends at VVS for sending us the outfit for review. The film is directed by Graham Moore, and it is out in theaters this week. Like we said, it stars Mark Rylance, Zoe Dutch, Johnny Flynn, Dylan O'Brien, Nikki Amuka Bird, and Simon Russell Beale. This film is it was an interesting film because I don't think it was really on any of our radar until very recently. I think, did we talk about this trailer on the show at all?
Nope. No.
I don't remember us talking about the trailer at all. But yeah, I'll read you a quick little premise for it. And I guess because this is like a condensed version of our review, we'll just kind of give our first reactions and immediate recommendations. So Leonard is an English tailor who used to craft suits on London's world famous Savile Row. Savile Row, right? That's how you say it? I'm going to say it. After a personal tragedy, he finds himself in Chicago, operating a small tailor shop in a rough part of town where he makes beautiful clothes for only people around who could afford them. A family of vicious gangsters. I'll kick it off. This movie is not what I was expecting. I think it has it's deceiving in its first 30 minutes of pacing because it's very slow. It's kind of getting all the players introduced. It reminds me a little bit of a stage play because we are in one location the entire time. We do not leave the tailor shop. But once the movie does get going, I think things start to really get interesting. And I'm like, oh, you know what? There's a deliberate pacing to this. Graham Moore is pacing this slowly because he really wants it to feel like it's constantly building and building and building. One thing I will say that I loved most in this film was Mark Rylance, because I think he's just he outclasses, I think, everyone that he ever shares a screen with, because he is such a great actor and he could do so much with doing so little. But I will say, because of that, anyone else who was in the scene with him felt very out of place. This movie is supposed to take place in the 40s, right? The 30s, 40s, right?
It takes place in the, I want to say 40s, because they refer to World War II.
Like the first, yeah, they refer to the war, right?
Like the end of World War II.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, everyone else in a scene with him, they felt a little out of place. I felt a little out of time. Shay and I were talking. We have this thing of like, this person looked like they've seen a cell phone before, and Mark Rylance, I believed, has never seen a cell phone before. But everyone else even to this day, but everyone else in this movie, I think they just kind of carried themselves and had to look to them like they were out of time in this movie. But I actually did really like, the drama and the action as it was kind of ramping up. And I think there's some really great moments in this film. But yeah, I'll let you guys talk now.
Go ahead, Shay.
Go ahead. Okay. Yeah, for me, I wrote down a bunch of notes while watching this film, and I personally just found the movie just very flat overall. I mean, I mean no disrespect to Mark Rylance at all. I think he's a phenomenal actor, but just sometimes he just kind of he's just boring. Like, he kind of really bores me sometimes, and I wish there was more to his acting. I wish there was more to his delivery, but it just wasn't doing it for me. And I think the opening dialogue in the film just feels like a nature documentary, the way he's talking, very slow. Dylan O'Brien, he is one of those people that he has seen a cell phone, and his face did not match. And when I think he was putting on that, Chicago gangsters kind of accent, it felt a little hammy at certain points.
Right.
The movie really tries to create this tension, almost like a Hitchcock, a rope, where it's just pulling you in, and it's very much like a stage play, like you mentioned, Daniel. But when everything kind of finally starts to unravel, some of the moments get kind of silly. And I think, like, there's moments where, a character is about to reveal a big point, and then someone interrupts them. And it's like, okay, well, this is so typical. It's a consistent roller coaster, the way that the pace is kind of moving. At certain points, it just kind of feels like they're trying to pull the rug out from under you, where there's just another twist being thrown here or there. And it gets to this ending where you're like, why didn't this person do this from the beginning? Like they kind of had the means for it. Like they could have just settled this all, but I don't know. For me, it dragged on way too long. And I remember when I thought the movie was done, I kind of got up and I was like, oh wait, no, there's still time left. Never mind. Let me just sit back down.
There's definitely a moment in this film where I'm like, okay, we have to be close to the end. I'm like, oh wait, there's still 40 minutes left in this. And I was like, I just, wow, okay. Something else I wrote in my notes here. Mark Rylance reminds me of the guy who comes to fix Woody in Toy Story 2.
Very much so.
Yeah, that was another note I had in my notes.
For display purposes only.
Yes.
Anthony,
how about you?
I always thought Rylance was out of place in Ready Player One. He just didn't look like the guy who would build, the Ready Player One environment. It just was super out of place. But I know Spielberg, and he thought he was best for it. But I enjoyed the film.
BFG as well too. He was in BFG as well.
Yeah. Was he the animated?
The Big Friendly Giant. Yeah.
He was the BFG.
I like the film. I really like the opening sequence in which Mark Rylance's character is a cutter who builds and designs suits, and there's a lot of I guess they focus a lot on that being a part of who he is, and it seemed like this guy was he took a good chunk of time to learn how to sew and learn how to build suits and cut it. I just found that part super interesting. But then getting into the whole story of this, mobster safe house where they drop envelopes and a lot of the backstabbing, a lot of the things that are happening in this one building, I kind of got into the story. I wasn't wowed by it, but I found it interesting. I found that there was parts of this story that were, I didn't see that coming, especially the end. And then there are parts where it's oh, that didn't work out for me. You're right. Yes, a lot of these characters feel like they're not from that time period or weren't in the presence of that time period, so it just felt out of place. But I thought everyone did a good job, and I thought, for a movie, I don't know if this would be a movie you would go watch in theaters, but something to watch on the weekend, I would definitely add this to my queue.
Yeah, I think for myself too, add this to the queue. I don't think it's something you have to run out and go see, but I think it will find a home and it's definitely an interesting watch once it does come on a streaming or on wherever PVOD on home. I think it feels like a Sunday afternoon movie. If I could relate it to a day and a time, that would be like a Sunday afternoon film.
For me, I'm going to say skip it. I didn't really leave with much from this movie, and I don't think that there's a lot to kind of see in the film either. I think there are much better films out there that probably deal with gangsters and close-knit environments a little bit more. But yeah, for me, it's going to be a skip it.
Cool. Thank you guys for your review for The Outfit. Now that we've got that done, we're going to move on to what we're watching. So let's start off with Daniel.
So I watched The Outfit. And after that, we watched After Yang, which is another. I really loved After Yang. I think this is such a great film. Go watch it if you are. That's just my quick review. Just go watch it. It's playing at the TIFF Bell Lightbox right now. It's a really great film. It stars Colin Farrell, Jodie Turner-Smith, Justin H. Min. Just beautiful movie. And it's a movie about life. It's a movie about family and moving on and loss. And I watch. It's funny because I think I watched this the day after watching the Batman, and it definitely was. It definitely was a heavier watch. But I think the director Kogonada, right? Kogonada,
yeah.
Just a brilliant director, and just this movie is just every frame is just so beautiful. And I think if you're looking for a dramatically sad version of a film like Ex Machina, this will make a good pairing with that. And I don't mean that as a joke. These films feel like I like that when we have films about technology that feel very in the future, they're still very grounded. And I like that the robots and everything in this world feel like it's a lifestyle thing, they're products, lifestyle products. They're not iRobot technologies or anything like that. It's no, these are just these are just things that are in the world, and we continue living our worlds, normally. And I really dig that. And I think this film was very beautiful. So definitely watch it. What else did I watch this week? There's a bunch of stuff that we're missing because we've been off. We've watched The Batman more times than I thought I was going to watch it, but not enough times because I absolutely love this movie. I've watched it 5 times, which is absolutely nuts to think. Winning Time, you could catch our review for that right now. The Adam Project, which you could also catch our review for right now. And I was watching Bad Vegan, which is a new Netflix original like crime docu-series. It's 4 episodes. Really, really interesting stuff. All I will say, it's about a woman who's like a restaurant owner in New York City, who's like had a really famous like vegan restaurant. Like Alec Baldwin and Owen Wilson and everyone would show up to it. And then she kind of meets this guy and they start falling in love, and he promises that he can make her dog immortal. And then she kind of gets caught up in joining a cult and giving him all this money, and it just being this whole big thing. So it was actually a really interesting watch. So if you're a fan of things like Don't F with Cats or The Tinder Swindler, things like that, you're going to enjoy this. Like this was actually a really interesting watch going through this. So I definitely recommend checking it out on Netflix this week on Netflix. Yes. That's all I got for you.
For myself, I have the outfit. After watching the Batman, I decided to put on Batman Year One. I really, really enjoyed my time with that again. I hadn't seen it since probably like a few years ago. Continuing with Love is Blind, I watched the reunion, and man, that was a wild ride. If anyone has watched Love is Blind, please shoot me a message on Twitter. I'm surprised as to how much this show has captivated me. I have been watching The Dropout on Disney Plus. This show, man, I'm loving it. I think it's so good. I think it's got there's this big right now renaissance of recent event, TV shows that are kind of coming out, like true stories that just happened, that usually happen in the tech world. This one's great. This one deals a lot with Elizabeth Holmes, and that story is also pretty recent as well. It's from like 2017, really, if you think about it. And when she started, it was around the time that Apple was coming out with the iPhone and how she wanted to be like Steve Jobs. So those two intersect really well. I highly recommend it. I think it's really, really fun, really, really good. I finished Genius, the Kanye story on Netflix, and I liked it. I mean, again, I mentioned it before. Whatever the controversy about Kanye, I'm all there for it. I totally get it. I'm not his biggest fan right now, but I can't deny that the documentary was good. I can't deny that, there's a lot of good in it. That I just feel like the parts in part 3 that suck is that because the director of the documentary really wasn't with Kanye through all the controversy, they kind of just gloss over it a little bit, but it is what it is. We have a review out for the Adam Project, Turning Red. I watched the Turning Red making of, which is called Embrace the Panda. I thought that was phenomenal. Hearing Domi talk about how she made the film and all the different processes that she went through.
My neighbor Toronto.
Just seeing her, FaceTime with her parents while they're back here in Toronto, and like they're showing off like the shrine wall they have of her with all her accomplishments. Really, really sweet. Highly recommend after you watch Turning Red to give that a watch as well. Of course, you watched the Batman. Fresh, which I wasn't a big fan on. It just made me really uncomfortable. After Yang, which I thought was also very emotional and beautiful as well. Winning Time. Been watching Human Resources on Netflix, which I think comes out this week as well on Netflix. I'm not too sure. And I watched the first episode of We Crashed, which will be available March 18th on Apple TV Plus. This is the same thing. It's another tech bubble true story that just happened in the last couple of years. And I really, really want to like it. I really want to get through it. For me, the hardest part is Jared Leto. Just he can be very unsettling in his acting, and it always kind of turns me off sometimes when I see him in movies. So I'll see if I can power through more episodes. But him being the main focus is what makes this the toughest part.
It's hard to like him now. I don't know why. It's just
I get it.
I don't know what he's not done anything bad, but I think his acting and the way he approaches acting
it's annoying. Almost.
It's annoying. Yeah,
I think it's been since Suicide Squad in 2016, where he really just kind of took this turn of like, I am like this weird method actor thing, and like it's been there, I think, where people, I think, have started to feel annoyed by him. People were definitely annoyed by him before. I mean, because I remember like with films like, you know, Dallas Buyers Club, or what's the John Lennon one that he did where he was like the murderer, like he went all method for that one, and was like apparently annoying people too. But I mean, he's a great actor, but he's also just a strange person.
Yeah.
So yeah. And he looks scary in Week Crash as well too.
And that's the thing. I don't think I see him blink in the show at all, and it made me uncomfortable.
Yeah, it's freaky. It's freaky deaky, man.
For me, I watched The Office. I was going to say The Office. The Outfit.
I definitely watched The Office this week.
After Yang, I thought it was a interesting film. There was a lot of beautiful visuals to it. I didn't connect with the whole story. I don't know if I would recommend to go watch it. I'd probably say add it to the queue. It is a long story, and you have to be in a particular mindset to watch it. But I thought Colin Farrell, just watching him from the Batman to doing this, is just shows a lot about says a lot about his, like how he connects with the character and just being a character actor. Different way of, or different version of Colin that we've seen in the past many years. He's grown every year, and he's done all these little roles and these small roles to become like this fantastic actor.
Which is so interesting, because like he started his career like doing small movies, and then in the mid 2000s he was doing these big blockbusters, right. And then I think he did Total Recall.
Yep.
And then after that, he kind of stopped doing like these big blockbuster films, right?
Yeah. Turning Red, which we have a review for. The Batman, which we have a review for. The Adam Project. I also watched Fresh. I wasn't a big fan of Fresh. I felt the story was so long, and I didn't really enjoy the characters and the acting. It wasn't unsettling. There weren't points of unsettlement. Like, I know me and Shay were talking about this, that you couldn't watch certain parts, or you stopped watching it because you just felt uncomfortable.
I don't know if you remember, I'm not a cannibal and you guys are. And for you,
I am.
Remember you and I were discussing about it, and I was like,
no, and I said,
I have a problem with cannibalism. And then you were like, you have a problem with cannibalism? So that's when I knew that you guys want to eat me one day. So I'm just, I'm just ready.
I had what I had an issue with was, I didn't know if this was a comedy or if this was serious, and it was kind of like
a dark comedy.
Yeah, it was like in the
very
middle,
dark comedy,
and then it became a horror, and it's just like there's too many genres of film happening, and they're not meshing for me. So that's my review for Fresh. But if you want to see it, you can watch it on Disney Plus through Stars. I put on Cop Shop, which is on Amazon Prime, stars Frank Grillo and Gerard Butler. It's about an assassin and, I want to say, a fixer who gets stuck inside a cop station, and they have to battle their way out. I enjoyed it. It was just fun, dumb action. Then I started putting on Studio Ghibli films, Princess Mononoke, as well as Spirited Away and Porco Rosso, which all three of those films are fantastic. Spirited Away being the biggest. But it's interesting to see, because I usually watch these films with the Japanese audio track and then watch it with subtitles. But that's
the way to do it, man.
This time I watched it with the English dubbed, and there's so many great actors who actually play these characters. For instance, Porco Rosso, which is an Italian plague who flies in his he's like a bounty hunter. He's played by Michael Keaton, and it's just so funny to see him play this character. I wouldn't expect him. And there are other movies that right now I'm still watching, like Kiki's Delivery, which stars Kristen Dunst. It's just each of these movies have like really good actors.
They do. You're right. They definitely have big names doing like the dubs for it, which is really it's cool to see that.
And they all stand out. Like the animation, especially for Spirited Away, is fantastic. Like, just blows me away. And I like the stories. They're small, they're short, and they all have like a theme. Princess Mononoke being pretty violent for a Studio Ghibli film, but also focusing on the environment and how we treat and how we should live with our environment rather than just tear it down. So there's a lot of themes for each movie I really, really like. I watched Winning Time, we have a review for. I also watched Severance, which is on Apple TV Plus. It's so surprising that this is a show that's on Apple TV Plus, because it really, it just makes you feel like, is this what Apple employees kind of go through? Because the way the story takes place, like the story is this guy works at a corporate office where when he enters the building, he forgets his life outside of the office, and he only focuses on work, and he's happy at work. And the moment he leaves work, he forgets about work and only remembers his life outside. So there's literally two types of personalities or people that are in this one body. And there is a huge, like during the story, right now we're in, I think it's the 4th or 5th episode, there's a lot of discrepancy between his work self and his personal self, and how they're trying to they don't know each other, which is interesting, and how they're trying to break apart, and how his outside person is trying to figure out his inside person, and his inside person is trying to figure out his outside. It's a unique story. Is Adam Scott? Yeah, Adam Scott.
Adam Scott, created by Ben Stiller too.
Yeah, directed by Ben Stiller as well. I would,
and John Turturro.
And John Turturro's in it as well. I would definitely say this is a watch it show. It is slow, but when you get to the point of whoa, there's two personalities in here, and everyone he works with also has two different personalities, and it's just one's trying to get out, and the other one's keeps trying to get out, but they can. And there's a love story. Christopher Walken's in it. Really, really good show. I was surprised with it. But yeah, that's all I've been watching. Oh, and did I say Winning Time? Yeah, Winning Time.
I thought you were going to say Winnie the Pooh. I'm like, and Winnie the Pooh.
And Winnie the Pooh. Yeah. Does anyone have anything else before we wrap up?
No, there's a lot to look forward to this week. I think we have a bunch of screeners this week that we're going to be going to be watching and having reviews for. Yeah. Moon Knight's also coming up very soon, so there's a lot of fun stuff to look forward to on the Movie Podcast feed. And like we always say, go through our list of episodes. There are so many amazing episodes, reviews, special guests that we've had already just this year. Go back and please check us out, because we have so many amazing episodes to listen to.
100%.
And more.
And as always, you can catch a new episode every Monday on all your favorite podcast streaming services, and look forward to this week. Especially this week, we're going to have a lot of reviews for movies and I think shows that are coming out in the coming weeks.
I think that's a good idea.
You can also follow us at The Movie Podcast on Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, and Letterboxd. And don't forget to leave us a review, please, after this show. If you haven't reviewed us, go to our show page on Apple Podcasts.
Show page, yeah.
And look and scroll up a bit. You'll see these stars. And if you swipe across them, you can give us a 5-star. We're still trying to get that Rotten Tomato accreditation. We're at, I think, 48 reviews left.
We're about 43 reviews away, but also that you actually brought up a good point here, Anthony. It's something that we just we were looking into.
State of the Union.
Yeah, State of the Union. So Rotten Tomatoes actually just recently updated their requirements. So they actually only open submissions for Rotten Tomatoes now in March. And we've said before, we were rejected the first time we applied, but we also got some really great feedback. So now, rather than us applying again this March, because we just got our feedback last month, we have to wait until next year to apply, which sucks, but also it's going to give us a lot of time to grow. And if last year was any indication, we grew by 6 times last year than we did in the 2 previous years of us doing this. So hopefully when we do apply next year, we're going to come and just blow their tomatoes out their eyeballs,
There's so many tomato reviews we read and look, and we're like, man, we just don't agree, and we want to support the films that are out there and give them real proper scores.
want to be a catalyst for change, because again, going back to the Sean O'Connell review, there were some reviews that we were seeing for movies that are on Rotten Tomatoes. They're like, yeah, but that's not what the movie is. Like you're turning this into a personal thing and not about the film. And
Right.
I think that's the change that the movie podcast is going to be. So vote for the movie podcast. No, wait, what are we talking about again? Sorry, we're not voting for us. Just real quick.
Yeah, just support us. If you have friends, if you have family, hopefully you do have at least one of those things. Ask them
have family or friends. Oh.
Ask them, just borrow their phones or just go to Apple Podcasts, search the movie podcast, drop us a 5 stars. Very easy to do.
If you have parents at home, they have iPhones, you maybe lend it to them, or they have their whatever phone.
Their iPads. They definitely have an iPad. Your parents definitely have an iPad.
Go to the podcast app, subscribe to our show, give us a review. We would be gracious. You can also follow us you can also listen to us on Spotify and also leave us a review on Spotify. You can join our Discord and write into the show at hello@TheMoviePodcast.ca. We'll also be on YouTube. So the movie podcast, or YouTube/The Movie Podcast. We'll have all our shows there, as well as reviews that are coming out. And you can find all this information in our show notes with all those links and more. That was This Time with the Movie Podcast.
And we'll see you next.